my whole life to publishing this poetry, getting this excellent poetry out there, and it pains me, after all of that work, to know that some of these books are boxed up. One of the ones, this poem is in a couple of anthologies. This is a very early poem from my magazine Mango. First issue was published on 4th of July, 1976, the bicentennial. And this is called, this is in the anthology of Chicana Latina poetry for Chicana Latinas. That was banned, and this is in Infinite Divisions. That was Infinite Divisions. Declaration on a day of little inspiration. I pound these streets for poems. Los viejitos, los vatos, los perros, los perdidos. The giant piss stream of freeway which covers my barrio, sops my Atlantis. None of these will own up and give me the taste of ripe literature. I write the same poem every time about beans and tortillas sin salsa, about quién soy yo. Flushing this anger is easy, pero el otro is harder to unfold. It stays shut like a wet piece of paper. It's a word I don't remember, an automatic genuflection I can't explain. And it haunts me like an old corrido. This love that has no words. This love for my raza, which is a poem. And I'd like to read a poem by, another author, Chicano author who was banned, who grew up here in Tucson, lived off of Speedway. I published his first book in the Chicano chapbook series called Speedway. So here's one of your Tucson writers that your high school, junior high school kids are not reading. Orlando Ramirez, he's in a couple of the anthologies of contemporary Chicano poetry that was banned on the banned list. I was crazy before I was Chicano. Being a Chicano bores me. It's like being stuck in the outfield for 5 straight innings without a beer. Like I said, I was crazy before I was Chicano. Now I know nothing has changed. My friend says that pretty soon they're going to outlaw Chicanos. And what am I going to do? Chicanos have already made an outlaw out of me. Having always been at the free throw line of life, the pressures are just the same when it's your raza who are shouting at you to miss. This is another banned writer that was first published in Mango. I published her first little book, also in the Chicano chapbook series. That little book that I sold for $1, Bad Boys, is now, if you have a copy of it, it came free in a subscription of Mango magazine. If you have a copy of it, it's worth $3,500 for that one little book. So here's a poem of hers, another banned writer in Arizona. Sandra Cisneros, Mariela. One day you forget his bitter smell, and one day you forget your shame. You remember how your small cry rose like a blackbird from the corn when you picked yourself from the earth, how the clouds moved on. Another writer your children are not reading. Another writer that I published that is on the banned list is the writer Sherman Alexie. Another writer I was the first to publish when I was a professor at CU Boulder, and this is from my magazine, Red Dirt. This is called Captivity Sonnet. And this begins with a quote from the narrative of the captivity of Mrs. Mary Rowlandson, who was taken prisoner by the Wampanoag when Lancaster, Massachusetts was destroyed in 1676. He, my captor, gave me a biscuit, which I put in my pocket, and not daring to eat it, buried it under a log, fearing he had put something in it to make me love him. 1. When I tell you this story, remember it may change. The reservation recalls the white girl with no name, or a name which refuses memory. September, she filled the reservation school, this new white girl, daughter of a BIA official or doctor in the Indian Health Service Clinic. Captive, somehow afraid of black hair and flat noses, of Indian children who rose one by one and shouted their names aloud. She ran from the room and is still running, waving her arms wildly at real and imagined enemies. Was she looking toward the future? Was she afraid of loving us all? 2. All of us heard the explosion when the 2 cars collided on the reservation road. 5 Indians died in the first car. 4 Indians died in the second. The only survivor was a white woman from Springdale who couldn't remember her name. 3. I remember your name, Mary Rowlandson. I think of you now, how necessary you have become. Can you hear me? Telling this story within uneasy boundaries, changing you into a woman leaning against a wall beneath a handicapped parking only sign, arrow pointing down directly at you. Nothing changes. Neither of us knows exactly where to stand and measure the beginning of our lives. Was it 1676 or 1976? Or 1776, or yesterday, when the Indian held you tight in his dark arms and promised you nothing but the sound of his voice? August, Mary Rowlandson. It was August when you visited the reservation grade school. The speech therapist who tore the Indian boy from his classroom, kissed him on the lips, gave him the words which echoed treaty. He thrusts his fists against the posts, but still insists he sees the ghosts. Everything changes. Both of us force the sibilant language of the enemy. 4. Language of the enemy. Heavy lightness, house insurance, serious vanity, safe deposit box, feather of lead, sandwich man, bright smoke, second guess, sick health, shell game, still waking sleep, forgiveness. 5. How much longer can we forgive each other? Let's say I am the fancy dancer and every step is equal to a drumbeat, this sepia photograph of you and me staring into the west of our possibilities. For now, you are wearing the calico dress that covers your ankles and wrists, and I'm wearing the bone vest wrapped around a cotton shirt, my hair unbraided and unafraid. This must be 1876, but no, it is now, July, and this photograph will change the story. Remember, I am not the fancy dancer. I am not the fancy dancer, not the fancy dancer. The fancy dancer, fancy dancer. 6. Fancy dance through the tall grass, young man, over broken glass, past Crow Shoes gas station where you can buy an Indian in a bottle. How do you fit that beer belly in there, asks the white tourist. I tell her, piece by piece. 7. Piece by piece. I reassemble the house where I was born, but there is a hole in the wall where there was none before. What is this? I ask my mother. It's your sister, she answers. You mean my sister made that hole? No, she says. That hole in the wall is your sister. For weeks I searched the walls for imperfections. Listen, imagination is all we have as defense against capture, and its inevitable changes. This goes on, but I just wanted to read you a section of it. That's Sherman Alexie, Captivity Sonnet. Now, if I may, one more band writer is Jose Antonio Burciaga. I published this broadside series in 1977 with his artwork, his incredible artwork, and poetry. And here's one. This is on the banned book list. His work was republished. Drink Cultura, that's on the list in the box. This is Colors Have No Translations, and it begins with a quote from Federico Garcia Lorca, the Spanish poet. Verde, que te quiero verde. Colors Have No Translations by Jose Antonio Burciaga. Green grows the grass on this side of the fence. Barbed wire river dance. Supple moons caress those moving hills. And deliver us your poor, and track them down in green army clothes, and arrest the earth that moves from underneath, and keep your green astroturf clean. Green that I hate you, green dollar backs, green my bile, green intentions, green solutions, green felt tabletops, green, green, green that I hate you. Green, green was my spring, green were my crops, green my God Almighty. In green I trust, green that I hate you. Greed, 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 your creed. Greed, greed, green, creed, green, that I hate you, green. Now, I wanted to close with, I'm not named by name, but I'm in just about every single anthology of Mexican-American poetry, Chicano poetry, Latino poetry, American poetry, on and on. But the ones, and including the race relation books, the Richard Delgado books, which are also definitely banned. And in those books on race relations and civil rights, this poem was published. This is one of my most anthologized poems. And this poem I always dedicate to my high school guidance counselor, who she asked me what my educational goals were, I said, I want to go to college. And she said, oh, what level? I said, PhD. She said, oh, where do you want to go? University of California. She said, oh, what do you want to be? And I said, a university professor. And she just about swallowed her tongue. And she spat at me. I think you're setting your goals too high. You will only fail. You are not college material. Don't even apply to college. This was my high school guidance counselor. So as I said in San Antonio, I got mad. I got really mad. So what did I do? I didn't burn anything. I didn't blow anything up. I didn't destroy anything. I didn't write on anything other than my notebooks. Instead, I started doing my homework. Beginning with Chicano history. So this is the poem for the young white man who asked me, how I, an intelligent, well-read person, could believe in the war between races. In my land, there are no distinctions. The barbed wire politics of oppression have been torn down long ago, and the only reminder of past battles lost or won is a slight rutting in the fertile fields. In my land, people write poems about love, full of nothing but contented, childlike syllables. Everyone reads Russian short stories and weeps. There are no borders. There is no hunger, no complicated famine or greed. I am not a revolutionary. I don't even like political poems. Do you think I can believe in a war between races? I can deny it. I can forget about it whenever I'm safe living on my own continent of harmony and home. But I am not there. I believe in revolution because everywhere the crosses are burning. Sharp-shooting goose-steppers round every corner, and there are snipers in the schools. And I know you don't believe this. You think this is nothing but faddish exaggeration. But they are not shooting at you. I'm marked by the color of my skin. The bullets are discreet and designed to kill slowly. And they are aiming at my children, and these are facts. Let me show you my wounds, my stumbling mind, my excuse me tongue, and this nagging preoccupation with the feeling of not being good enough. These bullets bury deeper than logic. Racism is not intellectual. I cannot reason these scars away. Outside my door, there is a real enemy who hates me. And I am a poet who yearns to dance on rooftops, to whisper delicate lines about joy and the blessings of human understanding. And I try. I go to my land, my tower of words, and bolt the door. But the typewriter doesn't fade out. The sounds of blasting, the screams, the muffled outrage. My own days bring me slaps on the face. Every day I am deluged with reminders that this is not my land. And this is my land. I do not believe in the war between races, but in this country, there is a war. And now for all of you, Librotraficantes, all of you on the caravan, all of you buying and reading and teaching and distributing this literature, because in order to eliminate racism, we must illuminate racism in all of its forms. So I wrote a Chicano poem. This is called the Chicano poem. They tried to take our words, steal away our hearts under their imaginary shawls, their laws, their libros, their líbranos, señores. No more. They tried to take away our spirit in the rock, the mountain, the living waters. They tried to steal our languages, our grandmothers' pacts, our magma cartas for their own serfs. They razed the land and raised a constitution, declared others 3/5 a human being, snapped shackles, cut off a foot, raped our grandmothers into near-mute oblivion. They burned the sacred codices, and the molten goddesses rose anew in their flames. They tried to silence a nation, tried to send the people back to the four corners of the world. They drew a line in the sand and dared us to cross it, tried to peel off our skins, shipitotec screaming through our indigenous consciousness. They tried to brand America into our unread flesh, the skull and crossbones flying at half-mast. They tried to put their eggs in our baskets, tried to weave the native out of us with their drink and drugs, tried to switch their mammy-raised offspring, beaded and unshaven as the colorless pea under our mattresses in a cultural bait and switch, hook and bait. They tried to take our words, give us the Spanish translation for pain, serve us the host of fallow fields on a china plate, stripped us of the germ and seed, fed us on a steady diet of disease and famine. Where is the word for tomorrow to the dead? When is our kingdom come? They claim our reclamations, our reparations, a thing of our imaginations. I discover this truth to be self-evident. In the beginning, we were here. I declare us here today and speaking. Gracias.